with Gold Spot Pens, and I want to show you our new kit that we are debuting this week as for our weekly dip special. It's an all Noodlers affair this week with a couple bottles of Noodlers ink, a Noodlers Conrad Ebonite fountain pen, and also a couple of neat tools that you could use with your Noodlers ink bottles to get the most out of your ink experience. So getting right to it, we have 2 bottles of ink here. We have the Apache Sunset and Black Swan and Australian Roses, and this is the newly formulated version that has a bit more of a purpley sort of lean to it. And here's a couple of writing samples that we did here. And this is done with the Noodlers Conrad Jade Pinecone Ebonite Flex Nib. And included with the Flex Nib is also an option for the standard steel nib. So you can have the choice between a non-flex and flex version, whichever you prefer. And these are friction fit with the feed, so all you'd have to do is maybe get like a piece of rubber or just use your fingers and pull out the nib and feed and then insert them back in with the different nib on top. Okay, and the other part to this equation is the ink miser. And this one's the Shot Inkwell, which is a good solution to use partially depleted ink bottles and put them into a freestanding filler up type inkwell. And this is what it looks like. So this is the clear version, which just came out a few weeks ago, which I think is a really cool addition to the line, as it allows you to experiment a little bit more with the mixtures of ink and being able to see what kind of color that you've got there. So included with this, of course, to make things a little bit more neater, is a pipette. It's plastic, so there's a squeeze bulb on one end and kind of a fold out sort of tube here. And so what we could do then is we could take our bottle of ink, so we could take some Apache, and this goes for like any type of bottle ink that you have. So you have anything else that let's say is down to the very bottom of the ink well, you could take it and just fill it up. So I'm blowing some bubbles in here, extracting the ink out just by gently squeezing the bulb, not too aggressively, because then those bubbles would have shot ink all over the place. Then we're going to insert it into the ink shot by gently squeezing on that bulb again. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to create like a little mixture. I'm going to make an Apache in Australian Roses, or a Black Swan in an Apache Sunset, whichever you'd prefer to call it. So want to kind of maybe create like 2/3 Apache, since Apache is very light in saturation. Has a great shading to it. Australian Roses does too, but it's a little bit richer in saturation. So we want to be a little bit more gentle with that color so that it doesn't overpower the Apache. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this out here. Okay, so our pipette is now clean again. Rinsed it out with some cool tap water, and now we don't have any more residual Apache in our pipette. So now I'm going to just cap this over here. And we're going to take our Black Swan, like I said, just very gently apply pressure on that bulb, because you don't want to send ink and splatters of ink all over the place. All right, so I have it filled up just a bit. I want to see what's going to happen with just a very little bit of Black Swan in here. I'm going to stir it up a little bit. That's cool because this has like a nice, it's not too thin of a base, so I don't feel that that afraid that this is going to tip over and then lead to a big inky mess all over the place. So I can just kind of just gently go in and stir it up a little bit here and put this off to the side. Now what I'm just gonna do is I'm just gonna dip test it and just see what kind of color comes out. And you see the two colors separately, and we're gonna see what they look like together, which is maybe like a distribution of maybe like, it kind of seemed like either 3 or 4 parts Apache to 1 part Black Swan. So let's see what this is like. I'll dip it in here. So this is what we got. Black Swan and Apache Roses. Kind of it has that orangey sort of amber color, but definitely carried with it some of that rose pink color. Just kind of saturated it just a bit more. Okay, so I did add a bit more Black Swan into this mixture here, and I want to see what this is going to turn out like. So let me dip the Conrad in again. So I mean, this has got some good saturation to it because I just dipped it out of the inkwell here, but it really did take on a different sort of characteristic. Still seems pretty light when you just scribble with it as opposed to flexing with it. It kind of took on more of a darker orange type color. Definitely not as light golden as the Apache Sunset would really be, but yeah, so that's kind of the idea of it, is to play around with it, see what colors you could come up with by matching and mixing 2 different colors and seeing what palette is available. And Noodler's is awesome to do that because you have so many different colors available and so many different characteristics too. So give that a try. And next I'll show you is the intra-bottle inkwell, which fits into the Noodler's ink bottles and allows you to do the same thing inside of the ink bottle as opposed to outside in a freestanding base like that. Okay, so next one I want to show is the intra-bottle inkwell. This is the other item in the Ink Miser line that allows you to extract more ink out of your Noodler's ink bottle specifically. The dimension of the outer rim here fits perfectly with the opening of the Noodler's ink bottle. So if you have something like this is our Revolution Blue ink, and you notice that we are about 2/3 full here, or 1/3 empty, depending upon how you look at things and you look at life here. So it's harder and harder as the ink bottle starts to deplete to reach the remaining amount of ink. If you're able to put the pen in there and be able to extract the ink, you're probably going to get ink all over the barrel of your pen because you still have ink residue around the rim of the pen, and it's like playing Operation. You're gonna try not to touch the sides. You know, come on, it's a lot harder than that. So what this does is that this piece here, this little plastic piece, allows for the ink to be more accessible. So you have 2 little cutouts here that are meant for the ink to flow into, but now not out of when the bottle is upright. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to toss this guy in here, and it fits perfectly around the rim, so it will provide a good seal for when I close the cap back on the pen. And you definitely do have to close the cap back on because you're going to tilt it to fill up that cone. So now, I'll just move the camera here to show you. Now we have ink inside of the intra-bottle inkwell. The ink is far above the normal line that you would have to fill the ink with if you were to just go straight into the bottle. So now you only have to worry about putting the nib just a few, maybe like a half an inch down into the bottle. So I'll take my Conrad pen and I'll just put it right into the ink in here. No tilting, you know, no, I'm just tilting just for demonstration purposes, but no tilting needed to access the ink down there. And it allows you to get the most out of your ink bottle. Thank you for giving this a watch, and I hope that you check us out. Sign up for the weekly dip, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get the weekly dip in your inbox every week, and find new deals and new specials just like this set. And hope you guys have a great day. Take care.